This is the 5 stages of developmental play. Knowing these stages can help give you ideas on what you can do with your child when they're in those stages. However, kids in general can jump from one to the next, especially kids with autism. They can go from solitary to cooperative, back to solitary or spectator. I mean, they kind of can go all over the place and surprise you with what they can do all of a sudden. They've generalized something and are able to do it all of a sudden. But these can help you when you're working one-on-one with a child. So solitary, typically a typical developing child is in infancy. So the child is playing alone and absorbed in their own activity, not interested in anybody else around them. So good to do recharging when they're at this stage. Mikhail, with my son Mikhail, it helps a lot. He goes in and out of solitary play, and the recharging helps a lot because I can get out of my head. So when I'm trying to work on a task with him and he's really, really uninterested because he wants to be doing solitary play, but I keep trying and he's not responding, I can stop and I can think, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to recharge and deepen. I can go and do my own thing. And quite often that's when he'll be like, okay, she's chilled out a little. I'm going to come over. And he'll engage with us on his own terms. Next is spectator. So typically it's 2 to 2.5 years that happens with. So this is when they start observing the other kids playing around them, but they're not interacting with it. So that's another common one. I find with my son for sure, who has autism. I also find it with a lot of kids with autism, whether they just aren't always sure how to start playing with whatever's happening, whatever game's being played. They're really good at observing. So they're kind of sitting on the sidelines and watching what's going on. And they're learning a lot through that. They're taking in a lot through just watching these other people model whatever game's happening. And then sometimes you'll find, even though they were just spectators, maybe in a month or a week or however long, all of a sudden you'll see that they've started doing whatever activity it was that they were observing prior to that. Next is parallel. With spectator. So that's a good one to do is watch with spectator play. And we just spoke about watch on the last video. It's more like your child doing watch though, not you doing watch while it's their version of watch while you're playing whatever game. And so next is parallel. That's typically 2.5 to 3 years old. The child will play with similar toys and in a similar way as whatever their friends are doing around them. So they can be playing Lego here and their friends playing Lego beside them. So they're not engaging each other in the game, but they're doing the same activity side by side. And this is how your child is doing bridging and exploring. It's a great way for joining to happen. So if my son is, say, drawing in circles, I can get out paper and pen and I can start drawing in circles. And that's me doing parallel play with him or joining, however you want to call it. And it's a great way to connect without putting any pressure on what's happening. Next is associative, typically 3 to 4 year olds. The child plays together sort of in loosely structured activities. So they're not quite playing in a really organized manner, but they have a general idea of what the game is and they're playing together. It's just them both showing interest. So it can happen for the way I do it with my son is through dancing. So we put on music and right now that's his associative play. So we start doing our dance moves and then I say, follow me, we're going to do this one, and he'll try this one, and then we really get engaged in doing a dance together. Next is cooperative play, 4 to 5 years old, typically. So this is something, this is when they're working towards something in the game. They're cooperating towards a common goal. And really, it's a great time if they're really engaged with you like that to expand on it. In whatever games you're doing, this can be anything. It could be imaginative play, or it can be building a structure, or it can be doing a craft. But you're working towards something, and you can really if your child's engaged at that point, you can really work on expanding that together. Next is generalization, typically 4 to 5 years. They're able to initiate the game or activity, whatever it's been, across any setting. So I'll think about my son. He can generalize tag now. That was something he couldn't do before. So now when we do tag at home or we go to a party, we can do tag now. He gets it. He's not confused because there's other kids or different kids or a different place. We go to the park and he can now initiate tag. So that's him taking something that he's learned and generalizing it. So they're all, it's kind of a good guideline. So you have ideas when you see your child going in and out of these different stages. Okay, so now he's doing solitary, so I'm going to recharge and deepen. He's really connected right now. I'm going to see if I can expand on that and see if I can challenge him in some way. So they're all, it's good guidelines to have to sort of structure in your own brain if you're kind of, especially if you're new at it or you're nervous or you're not really confident in maybe this is a new therapy for you, natural play therapy, and you're not confident what to do at all times. It's good. You can go and look at the guidelines and you can say, okay, I know he's here right now, so I'm going to try this. That's the developmental overview.